We are live now. I love this. Every time I need one of those like old radio signs with the blinking like the on air live. We're live now in the First Communications Facebook group. If you are with us, would you just do me a favor and type in the chat live? And if you're watching this on replay, can you do me a favor and type replay? We just love for you to chime in and see when you're going to watch this, because one of the things that we've noticed is that our Facebook Lives, and this is just one of those things, we're in a group of communicators, and so this is almost like a living laboratory for the vocational work that you guys are doing. One of the things that we're finding is that in our Facebook Lives that we do inside our group, within the first 24 to 48 hours, we see somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500 views, and then obviously it just keeps on trailing going on. But this is just one of those things where we're going to present this live here today, but the majority of the audience probably is going to see this in replay, and you want to make sure you have that context in mind when you're doing that. So I've got a special friend and guest here, someone who is, look at this, how handsome he is, showing up with a button-down shirt, all fancy. Tyler Smith is in the house. Welcome, Tyler. How you doing today?
I'm good, Kenny. It's good to be with you, man. It's this is fun. You know, we are separated by hundreds, if not thousands of miles, and yet here we are connecting so that we can help churches figure out how to reach their communities more effectively. So I'm grateful to be here. Good to see you, Kenny.
Absolutely. Now, the purpose of today, I want to bring you on because it's been a while. Usually we see each other at different conferences and events and things like that. We just haven't been together. But we actually have an excuse to get together in the next couple of weeks. We're putting something on the calendar, as everyone else here today should be, and that's February 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, I believe. Yep. We're going to be spending some time together, and I'm excited. So why don't we just share what is going on? What's the event that we're talking about today, Tyler?
Yeah, so we are hosting the third annual Engage conference, which is a conference to help church leaders to navigate technology, recognizing that that's oftentimes not our forte. Churches are known for really struggling with adapting and adopting technology. And I see that as a huge obstacle for us reaching especially future generations, but even right now, we have technology at our fingertips that can help us to reach people like we've never done before. And COVID has brought that to light in ways that we couldn't imagine a year ago. And church has done a pretty good job. You know, I want to pat everybody on the back. Like, we've made some massive changes and adjustments over the last 12 months. But that's not to say that we can rest on our laurels. Like, we have a lot of improvement that can still happen, and that's not easy. That's really, really hard. If your job is to stay up on all things technology in the church space, good luck. Like, you can't do that. There's just too much. And this is a conference that's really there to help you, knowing that you don't have to figure all this out on your own. There's a lot of brilliant people in the church space, and they're one of the best things about the church is that we are always willing to help each other out, recognizing that your church is and my church, we're not competitors. We're all in the same thing. We're trying to figure this out to do church as effectively as we can. And so that's what this conference is about. How do we leverage technology to more effectively reach our communities? And so throughout it, you're going to hear from over 30 different speakers where we're going to dive deep into a practical strategy that you can then go and use and try to improve your church's ability to reach your community.
Now, one of the things that, again, I'm excited to be back with you and sharing some time together on the calendar. Let's talk about where this is actually located. Is this an in-person conference? Is it a hybrid conference, offline? Churches have been going through this whole shenanigan, online, offline, back online, hybrid, this and that. So what are we doing with this event in particular, February 9th?
The Engage conference is online, and actually we didn't have to adjust for that. It's always been online, and I think it always will be an online event because we have the ability to reach more people than that means than any other. There's no obstacle of travel. There's no expenses of hotels and airfare and food and all of those. Instead, we can just spend our time and our money learning and then implementing what we learn. And so that's exactly what this is. So it is an online event, February 9th through the 12th. And the best part, we haven't said this yet, Kenny, but it's completely free. So there's actually no fee for this. It's a completely free conference because that's that's what our heart is with this. We want to help equip church leaders to reach their communities, and we think one of the best ways you can do that is by leveraging technology. And so we want to bring that education, that training, and those implementable strategies directly to church leaders all across the country.
So one of the things that I think the word technology does is all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, who is this for? Is it for the IT guy? Is it for the church online pastor person? Is it for the social media director? Technology touches so many different parts, all ministry fronts in today's world. Who is who's the sweet spot for them? Who should be actually, going to the site? And we've got a link set up very easy to remember. It's churchcommunications.com/engage. And to sign up for the free ticket. But who should that be? Should it be the person watching? Should they actually be referring their senior pastor? Should they just go to their IT person? Can you tell a little bit about the personas? Who are the people that would get the most value out of this?
Yeah, that's a great question, Kenny. And honestly, I think anyone who's a church leader should participate in this. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to need to watch every single session. There's going to be sessions on social media, and maybe you don't have anything to do with your church's social media. Well, don't waste your time doing that. But there's going to be other sessions that are going to be right up your alley. One of my keynote is going to be on guest follow-up. And so if you have anything to do with hospitality or first impressions or your church's guest follow-up, like that session is one you don't want to miss, because we're going to be giving you proven strategies that you're going to take home and you can literally copy and paste them. So you can have every email that you're going to need pre-done for you. Every text message you're going to send can be done for you. Even phone call scripts and handwritten note scripts, literally everything we want to spoon feed to you that you can then take, implement, make your own, and see success in reaching your community more effectively.
Nice. Now let's talk about the topics as you drill down a little bit on the website. When you go to churchcommunications.com/engage, you'll see a couple different topics there. And you also see, I love the fact that you've exposed who's actually talking already. There's over 30 speakers, I believe, at this point, right, in the roster, which is really cool. Yeah, the past years has been amazing speakers.
Yeah, we have been blessed to have incredible people sharing. But one of the things that we have found to be just completely eye-opening is what we learn from every year. We do an end of the conference survey, and we ask people, who did you learn the most from? Who did you enjoy the most? And we've had some really big names, but that's not actually who comes up. It's church leaders that are in the trenches doing what we as church leaders do. And so I find that really, really fascinating. But we also have two really, really big names, especially in this space. Kenny Jahng and Katie Allred are going to be speaking. And so I'm super excited for that. And I say that jokingly, but in another breath, not at all. We're going to do a session, our kickoff session, actually. You guys are going to be on a panel where we're bringing in people that are running the largest Facebook groups to help church leaders, because what I think is amazing is the pulse. If you've probably read more Facebook posts about church than anyone else in the last 9 months, and so you literally have your finger on the pulse of the local church in ways that no one else does. And so you guys are going to be sharing with us, what have you learned over the last year, and how can we as church leaders learn from that? What can we take from the learnings that you have had? So I think that's a really practical, tangible thing that we can glean from two brilliant people that have literally invested their lives into helping and resourcing church leaders, encouraging church leaders. So I'm super, super excited for that session. It's going to be awesome.
That's also with big old Greg and mighty Ryan, right?
Yeah. Ryan Wakefield, Greg Atkinson, you and Katie, and it's. I feel like that has to be one of the best sessions we're going to have, because we got brilliant people there who truly are living and breathing this stuff day in and day out. So I'm super excited for that. But you're going to hear from other people as well. That's one where we're literally going to be talking, some of the stuff that we do on a daily basis. But we have Clay Scroggins as well, and Kim Meyer, and Ben Stapley, Phil Cook, Larry Weathers. The list goes on and on. So definitely go to the website and check that out. Our friend Neil Smith is speaking this year. So it literally is. It's everyone that we need to be hearing from. We curate this content to make sure that we have the right people speaking to us, so that everyone has something that they can take away. This isn't a conference that one of my biggest pet peeves in the whole world. I love to go to conferences. I love to learn, but I don't learn for the sake of learning, right?
Yeah.
Learning for the sake of learning is a waste of time, I would argue. We learn so that we can go and implement what we just learned. And that is what the heart of this conference is I want you to learn some strategies, and then I want you to go and do those strategies. We want to implement those. And so we have some live workshops that we're going to be doing as part of that. Every day after the keynote session, there'll be a live Zoom call where you can jump on and literally talk to someone about what you've learned today, and then how do you go and do it. So I think that's a really practical and tangible way that we can be learning and improving upon what we're doing.
Now, I love the fact that it's like zero travel, so it's safe, but also your XP, your lead pastor, your finance person is going to be happy about that. And then it'll give you an excuse to actually book time during those days. And this is one of the things I encourage church leaders to do, is actually book time on those days, decline other meetings during those days, and use this as an event, as if you were going to a conference, right? If you were going to a conference, you're out of the office. And I heard from last time we ran an online summit last year, and some people said they actually set up an out of office email autoresponder, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
We tend to think that, oh, online stuff, we're in the office or we're home at now, and then you're still available. And so putting an out of office email reply during those days, I think is going to be helpful for you to focus on growth and actually, acquiring new tools. But can you talk about the schedule? Because this isn't like a typical conference where you actually do need to like kill 2 or 3 days of an ultimate productivity. Talk about the flexibility that you guys have in this conference.
Yeah. So we recognize you as church leaders wear a million hats, and your days are busy, and oftentimes they get completely derailed by things that happen in life. And so the way that this works, when you get your free ticket, each day we're going to have sessions that will go live. They'll be released, and then you have 3 full days to watch those sessions. So maybe on day 2 of the event, you just have so much going on, you can't watch any. So you could actually watch all those on day 3 along with day 3's session. So every session is live for 3 full days. So it's not that you have to watch it at the moment it's aired and then it disappears. We don't do that. We want you to be able to watch the sessions that are applicable to you or to your team. And so I think that actually is another really big piece, is that, if you don't have anything to do with social media, we've got some brilliant people that are going to be sharing about social media. Get your social media people on there, right? Like, you get the right people into the seats so that you can watch these sessions and then go and implement what you're learning there. So I think that's a really, really important aspect of the way the conference is. You have absolute flexibility in when and how you watch these. And then if the timing's not right, we also have a VIP pass that you can get, which gets you lifetime access to it. It's very, very affordable. The price does go up on the first day of the conference. So if you're at all interested in doing it, just make sure you do it before the conference starts. So before the end of the first day of the conference, and you'll save a ton of money doing that. But that can be a really great way to do it. Now you have lifetime access to it. So, we have a ton of churches that grab the lifetime access pass every year. And then what they do is they carve that out. So in their monthly meetings, they'll watch a session, and then that will be content for that month, where they're now going to go and say, okay, we just learned about guest follow-up. Now this month we're going to focus on improving our guest follow-up, or whatever the topic might be. And then you get to curate that content because you now have access to the 30 plus speakers
on the calendars. Everyone else here today should be. Whoops. And that's the audio is like overlapping here. Sorry about that.
Yeah, all right.
So here's one thing. Jason Moore is in the comments saying that he's excited for this event. I'd love for you to chime in and say what speaker or topic, Jason, that you're actually looking forward to. Because if you go to the website, you'll actually get a preview of all the 30 speakers, and then there's actually topics that you can actually look into. Tyler, one of the things that I'm interested in for this is like, how else should teams use this other than that one thing? What about volunteers? Is this appropriate for volunteers to actually be a part of it?
Yeah, I think a lot of the sessions absolutely are. So, and I think that's something you can do as you watch these sessions. Think about 2 things here. Okay, so you're one person. You can only do so much work. But as a church leader, I think one of the most powerful things we can do is get really effective at delegating. And so if you can watch a session and say, oh, wow, this would just be perfect for this person or for this team, that's one of your main goals as you watch the content, is who can I go and share this with so that they can effectively implement what we're learning, right? I need to implement what I'm learning. Those are the two strategies when you watch something where sometimes it's like, nah, that one's not applicable to us. Okay, we'll put that in a little bucket. But everything else, you got to decide, is this something I can implement? And if so, when am I going to do it? How am I going to accomplish that? If not, how can I, even better, how can I delegate that to either our team or our volunteers or somebody to get that accomplished? Because that's the whole purpose of this conference, is so that you can learn from what other churches are doing effectively. And then you can do that too. You can repeat the processes, the systems that the churches have in place that are just simply working. And so I think that'll be a really, really great option for you.
So we've run several events over this last year that are hopefully, like, I think we're of the same mind when we're running events, is that we want it to be hyper practical, tactical, not just pie in the sky theory. One of the things that some people are like, they lean forward. They're actually waiting for this kind of stuff. And we get questions every single event. When does the actual event start each day? I'm in a different time zone. Sometimes we have international folks joining us. So could you share with us, like, what's the best approach to actually booking time so that they actually sit down and actually have heads up, full attention, and don't miss the sessions that they're actually looking forward to?
Yeah, so each day at 10 a.m. we will have a kickoff, and so you can join us for that kickoff session, and then essentially every half hour.
10 a.m. What
Central
time?
Central time. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're here in Kansas City, so you'll have a schedule. So we will send all this out. So when you register, you don't need to know the exact times of everything. We're going to get that to you. So you're going to have full access to the full schedule. You'll see who's speaking when. So you'll know exactly what times you want to watch. But then remember, like we just talked about, you don't have to watch it the moment it goes live. So if a session goes live at 11 a.m. Central Time, it's totally okay if you watch it at 10 p.m. that night, or even the next night, because you get 3 full days for every session that goes live. So we try to build in as much flexibility, recognizing that the church leaders we're pulled in so many ways, and that's really awesome. Responsibility that sometimes the conference needs to go to the back burner, and we recognize that, but we want to give you as much time and as possible to be able to jump in and learn, and then go and implement.
Awesome. How long are each of these sessions on average? Are they like hour-long sessions?
No, like 20 minutes is about what each session is. There's some that are a little bit shorter, some that are a little bit longer, but in general, I would say 20 minutes. So kind of like a TED Talk, where somebody is going to dive deep on one thing and then provide you as much content and strategy and concept as possible, so that you can take it and run with it.
Gotcha. Personally, on my side, I'm personally interested in a couple different things in 2021. I'm upping my game on texting. You're coaching me and our team on how to up the game on texting, because that is one of those things where I think in the majority of the marketing world, everyone has understood that, you need to command your email list, and you need to be able to cultivate your list. But I think the shift now, it has to be kind of like how website designs went to mobile first design, that we need to start thinking text first list building and cultivation. Are we going to actually get like texting, tutorials or, exposure to concepts or how to use texting in this specific conference?
Yeah, there's 4 sessions that are going to be taught by folks here at Texan Church, and so we're going to be teaching you on guest follow-up, because texting is a part of that. It's not all of it, but it's a small piece. We're going to talk about events. What are some ways that we can leverage technology to do more impactful events? So we're not going to tell you how to run an event. We're going to tell you, how do you follow up on an event? How do you actually get people to show up at an event? And then I'll let you behind the hood a little bit. When you sign up for Engage Conference, we're not going to just hope that you show up. Right? Instead, we're going to send you some emails. We're going to send you some text messages telling you, hyping you about what you're about to experience, and letting you know, hey, it starts tomorrow. Like, that's part of the promise, is we're going to effectively communicate with you. The main purpose, one purpose is, it's a dual purpose, right? One purpose is we want you to show up. We want you to learn and engage with this content. The other side of it is we want you to see what can happen when you do that, right? So like, I'll just challenge you. Next leadership meeting you have, you typically have, so let's say 80% of people actually show up when you have a leadership meeting. Send a text message out the night before telling everyone how much you're looking forward to it, okay? You will see an increase. You'll get 90 or 100% of people are going to show up, or they're going to text you and say, oh, actually, sorry, I can't make it. Here's why. But when it comes to to building your church community, when someone tells you they can't make it to something, that is a beautiful thing. Like, that's an opportunity for ministry. That's a conversation. It's relationship building. It's life giving. It's not cutting off, saying, nope, not coming, never coming. It's, I just can't make it this time. Oh, really? Well, I understand your kid's got a soccer game. Hope you have an awesome time there, right? So there's a little miniature moment where we can actually do ministry via text message. And so I think that's just a really brilliant thing that we can be doing. And you can do that on a little scale when you're talking about just your leadership team, but you can also do that on a large scale. That can be part of your guest follow-up strategies, sending a text message saying, hey, I'm really looking forward to worship tomorrow. Hope to see you there. Right. And then you're going to get a reply back, and people are going to, tell you, like, really sorry, I can't make it. Here's why. And that's an opportunity for us to be able to engage. So yes, we're going to dive deep on all of the strategies that we see churches leveraging text messaging to more effectively engage with their people. So yes, we're going to go deep on that.
Okay. The second topic that I'm trying to say we need to up our game is video, YouTube, live streaming stuff outside of just regular social. Are there going to be topics that cover that genre?
Yeah, we absolutely are going into YouTube. Ben Stapley is going to be talking about photography and video in there. So yes, literally every little aspect of how technology touches your church, we're going to have at least one session on, and oftentimes we're going to have 2 or 3 sessions that are going to dig into that. So yeah, I think video is a big thing in 2021. It was a big thing in 2020. It'll be a bigger thing in 2022. If we're following the trends, like, it's videos here to stay. We have to get good at it. And a lot of us have, churches have really stepped up their game, but we also have a long ways to go. And so, as we can learn from other people and figure out how we can do this more effectively, it's a huge opportunity for the church to reach more people. Like, one of the things we hear, so many people that are discouraged and, feeling a little bit run down about how COVID just completely derailed 2020. And that's true. Those are real feelings, and it did. But COVID also forced us to do church online. More specifically, it forced most churches, lots of churches, to do church on Facebook. And so what that really means, that's how we see it. But think about the rest of the world, the unchurched people. They now were forced to see church happening every Sunday, right? Like, maybe they engaged with it, maybe they didn't, but they saw it. Like, it was really hard for a human living in the United States to not experience church in some way, shape, or form this year, which that was not the case in 2019. In 2019, if you didn't want to go to church, you didn't go. In 2020, it came to you. And so I think that's a trend that's going to continue to happen, hopefully forever, because we now have figured out a formula that we can bring the church to people. And we're always trying to think of creative outreach opportunities to do that. This one actually doesn't even take that much creativity. We know that everyone stares at their phone way too often. And so now all we have to do is interrupt that feed with church, right? Like, do ministry online and people will see it. So I think that's just a really interesting piece. And I know Katie's going to be talking a lot about Facebook and in her session. So that, like, those are real tangible things that we can be digging into and leveraging in such creative, but also simple ways. Like, we oftentimes, especially as church leaders, we oftentimes get a little bit intimidated by technology. Technology is this big, scary thing, but in so many ways it's not. I'm actually not super technical myself. And so, I have people around me that can help me to get other things done if I need to get really techie. But in day-to-day life, technology is this blessing that we have that just makes life so much easier to connect with people. And I think that's what we just have to look at it as purest form. Technology is here to help us to engage with people. And I think that can be just a really beautiful and simple thing if we just embrace it.
This is like one of those events where I think I love the fact that there are conferences out there that do have the thought leaders, the authors of all these books, etc. And we do. Yeah, you're an author. That's going to be. But I personally feel like the fact that you have practitioners that are in the trenches and actually have been going through what every church actually needed to go through in this last 9-12 months, I think is the value here. And this is the thing that we see time and time again, the resources that we put out there where it's actual practitioners. It's not just the glitzy personalities that have platforms out there. The ones that resonate are the ones that actually are showing, and it might be a small church. It doesn't need to be a mega church, right? I mean,
Yep.
I don't know your experience, but even with your customers with Text and Church, I would assume that it's not just the mega churches that are doing great things, innovative things with guest follow-up, but it's actually mid and smaller churches too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think that's something that I have, as a business owner, that's something that I have always tried to take to heart, that I can learn from anyone out there, right? So I can learn from businesses that are larger than us, that are smaller than us, that are the same size as us, that are in the same market as us, that are in different markets. I can learn from anyone. And then I can apply those strategies to what we're doing here at Texan Church. I think the church has to really work hard to embrace that, because too many church leaders I hear from say, oh, but that's because they're a mega church. Well, yeah, they do have different resources, but that doesn't mean the concept won't apply to a smaller church. And so there might be some examples that, yes, you're right, you can't do that. But there are ways that you can modify what you're seeing done at the mega churches to fit your context and see amazing results with that. So I think it's easier for us as church leaders to say, oh yeah, I can definitely learn from this church down the street. But it's a bigger leap for us to say, oh, I can learn from this mega church here in Atlanta, right? Like there are really huge roadblocks that we put up to prevent ourselves from comparing what they're doing versus what we're doing. And that's real. It's human nature, right? We don't want to see ourselves as not able to compete on the same level as them. But that's not what we're trying to do. I would never advocate that a small church of 100 should be doing the same stuff of a church of 20,000. No, but there are definitely learning opportunities. Like that church didn't get huge by chance, right? Like they're doing so many things correctly. And if we're really honest with each other, they're operating at a really, really high level. Like operationally, they have everything dialed in. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had the capacity to grow at the way they did, or they would have imploded when they did. So they've got systems in place. So we have to just, as smaller churches and just as leaders in general, we have to always be looking at what's the learning opportunity here. I see them doing this thing. We can't quite do that same thing, but what could we do? What can I take from this that is 100% applicable to where we are today? And I think we can always find that if we look with clear eyes.
If you are watching now, we'd love for you to chime in and just give some social proof to the other people watching, because I do think that is surprising to the most people, that they think that these resources, these events are only for the big churches. Do me a favor and just drop a number in the chat of how many people attend your church last Sunday. And if it's 34, that's great. If it's 304, that's great. If it's 3,004, that's great too. But I think you'd be surprised how many people. We've got almost 28,000 people in our group now, Tyler. And the clear majority are not mega churches, right? You only have, I think there's only 5,000 churches above 1,000 or more attendees. And then if you go to like a 3,000 or 5,000 person church, the number dwindles. And so, and you got to remember, the clear majority of churches in our country are somewhere between 75 and 200. And so anyway, if you're listening to this now, live or on replay, if you could just drop a number into the chat, let us know so that everyone encourage someone else by saying, hey, we are a church of this size, whether you're big or small, and saying we are looking at resources like this to improve our game. I think everyone just wants to be a better herald of the gospel in their zip code, right? Like that's all we want to do together.
And Kenny, that's what I think is so special about what you guys have done with the church comms group, right? 28,000 church leaders. Like that's just a number in one way to look at it, but that is 28,000 people who are out there actively working to reach more people in their local communities. And one person can have an impact. 28,000 people all rowing in the same direction can have a massive impact. And the impact that you and Katie have had on the local church is immeasurable. So thank you for all. I know you guys put in, way too many hours curating the content that's on here and chatting with people. And that doesn't go unnoticed. We are so grateful for all the ways that you guys have helped local churches across the country and really the world to just be a little bit better at what they do, just being a little bit better at reaching more people, building relationships. And you guys are Like I think you guys were in my world, at least, you guys were really the first mega Facebook group to really sprout up. That was
Katie Allred, right? She's the one who started this group, I think, a little over 6 years ago, and it was. I think that's why the original intent was born out of just community. And as you know, Tyler, Katie thinks every one of these 27-something thousand people are her own family. She'd have them all over for Thanksgiving if she could, and literally she would.
Yeah, so, and next year when COVID's not around, man, she can do it.
So yeah, so this is great. We've got the next couple of Wednesdays. What we're going to do is we're going to dedicate. We've been able to coordinate with some of the speakers that are on the roster on the webpage to come and spend some time with us and share a little bit of their wisdom and just to look forward as to what they're going to share in February on the platform at Engage. If you haven't marked your calendars, you need to do that too. It's February 9 through 12. If you've got our church communications wall calendar, you don't need to mark the calendars because it's right on there. Right. All you need to do is circle it and then cross off anything else in those calendar boxes. This is one of those things. There's a lot of online conferences and summits and webinars and events throughout the year. I actually think this is one of the ones that actually has the most practical insights coming out of it. And so you don't have fluff. There's these events out there that if you have a heartbeat, will take your video, and the video quality, frankly, is something that we shouldn't be broadcasting. This is not one of those. Tyler's team have gone way, way far beyond what they should do to coordinate a free event like this for the entire staff. And that's the other thing. I had a question the other day about Engages. Are we allowed to have more than one ticket, or do we need to like share the? I'm like, no, it's free. Take advantage of it. Right? Like,
yep, you can buy as many free tickets as you want.
This is what I said. Be American. Just if anything's free, you just take it.
Get it. That's right.
Run. So awesome. So thank you so much for hanging out with us, Tyler, today. If there's any questions that people have, what's the best way they can actually follow up or get more information in that capacity?
Yeah, if they just go over to the Engage website, down in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a little chat bubble. You can just chat with our team. So our team is there to help you to get your free ticket. If you're interested in the VIP pass, they can answer questions around that. We want to make this as easy and as simple on you as possible, so that all you have to do is show up, learn, and implement. Right? It's really that simple. We want to take all of the thought process out of this so that we bring it right to you, bring it right into your home, and you can watch from your PJs and really enjoy the content. I think it's fascinating how many people will comment, and I joke about wearing their PJs. There will be a high percentage of people who will watch these while in their PJs, laying in bed late at night. Because that's just an opportunity we have. You know, there's no time. You don't have to watch this at 2 p.m. You literally can watch it once you get the kids to bed. You can sit in and just enjoy it, take it all in, and then share that back with your team. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways I want to leave you guys with is the training's for you, but it's also for your entire team. And so we want you to take it, run with it, and start finding ways that you can be more effective at reaching your community, right away.
Absolutely. We got to run right now, but I just want to say, I always talk about these 4 cultural shifts of decouplement that are happening right now. There's time shift, place shifting, channel shifting, episodic shifting. And this event itself is structured in a way that respects and understands that those things are happening, right? So you're able to watch it anytime that you want. You're able to watch it any place that you want, whether you're on the go or in your office or at home or even in your bedroom, right? It's a channel shift where everything has been fragmented and nichified. And so we are talking about niche topics for church tech and ministry today. And then, the last episodic shift is that you don't need to sit there and watch it's not like a 5-hour thing that you need to watch all at once, that there's so many little individual pieces that you can take and actually pick and choose and curate your own adventure through the whole experience. And so I love the fact that you are modeling best practices for content delivery and engagements with this event. And so thanks for putting it together. So next week, back here in the ChurchCom group, every week, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be visiting with some other speakers from the event coming up until the actual thing. We're actually trying to figure out if there's a way to do a watch party during that day in the group or with some other people.
Yeah.
But we want everyone to join in. So the first step to do anything is to go to the website. It's on the screen below here. It's in the comments. Go click on the link, get your free ticket, and then let's all talk about and learn together. So Tyler Smith from Text Nutrition Engage, thank you so much for being with us today.
Glad to be here. Thanks. God bless.
Bye-bye.